Okay, this is the collection. So this is the broad view of it. These are, well, that's a Haworthia truncata mainly on the right, and these are mainly astrophytum hybrids that I bred myself, and you can see some of them have come up variegated. That's that was sold to me as a cristate um, astrophytum ornatum, and there is growing up here 4 species of what are all now called Selenicerius. Oh, are they all Hylocereus? I can't remember. One or the other. The biggest one that looks a bit yellow has been flowering for 2 years, and there's 2 others there that were Selenicerius and one Hylocereus, and they haven't flowered yet. So this one is one of my favourites. It's actually one plant, which is a beautiful variant of Astrophytum myristigma, which I grew from seed about 40 years ago. And when it was the size not even of a pea, I split it in half with a razor blade, and it just grew as 2 like that. So that has scented flowers. They're a bit of a lemony scent, I think. And that is in a really lovely what is that? It's this potter. It's made by a pottery that potters that sell their pots at the Wisley Garden Centre. I can't remember their name offhand, but the pot itself is these pots, which I've got quite a few of, are in themselves quite valuable. They are non-porous, which is very helpful, believe it or not, for cacti. High fired, that pot could have been, I think it would have been at least 20 quid. But this, what I'm looking, the sort of prices I'm looking at is like that, about £100. And over here, and like these astrophytums are from the same batch, and again they're in one of these high fired pots. So is this big Noto cactus, or Parodia now, isn't it? Parodia magnifica. So this pair of Astrophytum ornatums, again, they're in one of those high-fired non-porous pots, and I'll be looking for about £200 for that, which I think is actually a bargain. So, that gives you some idea. Here we've got a couple of Welwitschia mirabilis that I grew from seed. That is Espostoa melanostelli that I tried selling on eBay for £200 for a while. Nobody bought that, but that was, what I was looking for. I mean, I could take a little bit less than that. And like you've got that's a Lophophora williamsii, which, what would I mean, the bottom line on that, I'd be taking about £10 for that. And again, this is in an old high-fired non-porous pot. I don't know if it's Sankey Bulwell, but some of these are. Like this is a Sankey Bulwell pot. That's an Astrophytum asterius that I grew from seed. Again, probably about 40 years ago. And how much would I mean, I think it's worth honestly, £40 at least, but I'd probably take 20 bottom line for that. Just to give you an idea, up there, you know, I've got some really, actually I'll make a different video for that, but I've got some, you know, I've got a few that are very choice. Let me see. And look, this is an Astrophytum hybrid that came out yellow, so I've grafted that onto another Astrophytum. And there's some similar. That's a Milo Cactus violaceus that I bought when it was about an inch across, again about 40 years ago, and that has, you know, the way I grow that has been very controversial because I don't give it any water for 6 months across winter, and it has survived temperatures down to about 3 degrees centigrade, and it's completely okay. So that is a little Aztecium valdezii, I believe. I think it is. And it's growing, because they grow on gypsum. I got, this is actually selenite crystals, which is a form of gypsum, which I've got that on there. This is Peliciphora strabiliformis. That is actually grafted under there. And that, hang on, this is an Aztecium. I've got the names of these somewhere. I'm not sure if it is Ritteri or not. That is Astrophytum coahuilense, which is actually quite rare, I found. But that's one of my favourites. There's a big one up there that's a bit scarred. But they've got this beautiful, very furry, you know, little, those dots that they have. And if I can get in there, I've got some Ariocarpuses up here. So we've got, so that is, that one is Strombocactus disciformis. I'm growing it in a mix of limestone and other stuff to sort of imitate where they grow. And there's an Ariocarpus cotubayanus next to it, and a lot of little very choice sort of Geohintonias and things in that seed tray. And here we have some Ariocarpi. Again, I can't remember exactly the names of all of these offhand, but this is Physiuratus. This is Ariocarpus agavoides rather, which I grew from seed, which is endangered. And I've had that, oh gosh, I mean, I grew that from seed about 40 years ago, but it's smaller than it would have been because a bit of it went rotten, and you know, I had to do a bit of surgery. There you've got some Peliciphora acelliformis, which is lovely. Look at that. And these I grew from seed about 40 years ago. And there's some more Ariocarpi in there. Astrophytum senile vioreum. So that gives you a little taster of what there is here. I mean, I'm not going to go through every single thing I've got like a couple of Geohintonia mexicanas growing there in selenite and gypsum as well. But oh yeah, I'll show you this. This is my biggest Welwitschia mirabilis. And again, that is, I grew that from seed as well. So yeah, that's just a little snippet really.